New England.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. The people of Melbourne are not asking for miracles. They're asking for courage. So have the courage to put the windmills up in your electorate, member for Melbourne. Have the courage to put the solar panels over your parks, member for Melbourne. Have the courage to actually live your virtue, member for Melbourne. Don't just foist it onto us. Don't foist your garbage and your virtue onto our seats for us to live with. Put the transmission lines over your suburbs, member for Melbourne. Like, it's very easy to be brave when you're actually brave with someone else's, where someone else has to pay the price. Say to the member from Melbourne, how would you feel if you came back one day and found a plastic bag tied to your gate with a peg, telling them they're going to put transmission lines all over your property? Didn't even have the dignity to come into your house and knock at the door. I say to the member from Melbourne, how would you feel if I took an easement through the middle of your house as you walk out the door and enforced it with security guards, a $12,000 fine if you don't abide by it, backed up by police? I say to the member from Melbourne, how would you feel with helicopters flying over your place and planes flying over your place to check what you're doing? I say to the member from Melbourne, with your courage, how would you feel if you couldn't pay your power bill, been forced out of your house, to live in a car because of the virtue of certain areas where they did have the money to pay for things? I say to the member for Melbourne, for me, as a member for New England, this is personal. This is really personal. And I see the member for Blair nodding. I don't know whether you're in agreement, member for Blair, or whether you actually believe it, because I know the member for Blair, you're very close to people who is very personal for them as well. You know, when we had two people, to be quite frank, with English accents, one with a big gabardine coat on, big scarf, a lady with him who looked like she was off to the races, appeared on my neighbour's place. He is off the grid. He is totally renewable. No, they have no electricity to their house. That is my neighbour. And they just appeared at his house to tell him, not to discuss him, to tell him that the transmission lines were going to go over the middle of our valley, over our airstrip that we use for firefighting, for put out chemicals, near his house and my house are actually in the grey area that's shaded in by the corridor. And when we saw them, I mean, I never turn up and say, do you know who I am? I don't. I was turned up in work clothes. They treated us with complete contempt. We were just mud under their feet. And then later on, I said, look, I'm going to fight this. And they basically said, well, you can do what you like. And I said, I am actually in politics. And I went, oh, well, whatever you want. Go your hardest. I don't care. Then Vicky turned up, Vicky Campion, my wife. They said, who are you? Just sort of disparaging way. And she said, well, I'm a columnist for the Daily Telegraph. And they said, no media are allowed at this meeting. And they said, well, hang on, you've just turned up in the place. It's not an official meeting, you just launched yourself on our place. And I said, no media allowed here. I said, absolutely the media, we live here. Absolutely the media is allowed here. They said, you're not allowed to report anything we say. And we said, we will report everything you say. For me, on this one, and just listening to the member from Melbourne, that is what is happening to us. And I'll tell you, in the state of New England, I've got a swing to me, a good swing to me, both on primaries and on two-party preferred, because we are standing up against this garbage, and I will fight this garbage. For the first time in my life, this vote actually comes back to my valley, to my people, to the people who are not on the grid. They can't afford electricity, and you guys just don't know about it. You talk about it, but you talk about, I hear people say lived experience. You have no lived experience of this, none. And this one, I don't care where it takes me. I'm going to fight this one to the very bitter end.